kids. And that's why I love doing these lives with y'all, because they're listening. They can hear me. They sometimes come in and out of the room while we're chatting. And I just happened to be, I think it was yesterday, and I said something to the effect of, the more time you spend researching homeschooling, the less money you spend. That's typically how it goes. And I happened to be talking to my kids about that afterwards. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I do on these lives. Is I just talk about the inverse relationship between time and money. And my oldest, she's like, what's the inverse relationship? So tell me why, y'all. Because I love dry erase. I actually drew it out for my kids. And I was like, so this is time and this is money. And when the more, consider days, weeks, months that you might spend, or even years, going on further out, that you might spend researching homeschooling or just learning through your experiences. The more time you spend, the less money you'll spend. And I was just like, first of all, I realized that was unschooling, which y'all know, if you've been on it, listening, my whole thing about unschooling has just been like kind of kooky because it's not, structured like I like it. But I realized just through conversation, and we were playing Uno and playing Trouble yesterday, and, all these things, like talking to y'all and them listening, they're learning, first of all, but then also it just makes me realize why I'm doing this. Like that's my why. Because y'all, there's so many people out there. There's a lot of homeschool hustlers out there. I might start saying, y'all, beware of the bundle. Because a lot of these companies are preying on the fact that you don't know what you don't know. Just like when you have a newborn baby, right? We all know, if you've had more than one child, that first child is the one where you spend all your money. You're buying everything that's recommended because you want to be the best mother ever, best parent ever, which fine. But then when you have your second or third or more children, you realize like, oh, wait, I really didn't need all that. And it's very, very much the same with homeschool. Like, you first get into it, you're worried. You're like, I don't want to fail my kids. I don't want to be the reason that they can't get into, college and have the life of their dreams. So let me buy this all-in-one bundle that says, it's going to save me time. It's going to save me money. It's all in there together. I don't have to think about it because someone's done it for me. And then you use it and you realize my kid hates it, or it's missing a lot. There's a lot of gaps in this. So I still have to go out and look for things because that's not right, or that doesn't vibe with our family values or whatever. And so the more time you spend researching, the more you realize like there's good stuff out there. You yourself can create things, and you can still meet the needs of your children while at the same time meeting the requirements for your state. And your kid will go on to be, happy, healthy, successful, but while you're spending less money. So again, talking about that inverse relationship with my kid just made me so, so proud. And so, yeah, thank you guys for being here so that I could share that with them. You said homeschooling is the best decision I made, and my kids are grown, and it was a toxic environment in school. I think you got cut off there, but in school was that last word. Andrew, you said your son is starting kindergarten this year and you're homeschooling him. Good. Excellent. Excellent. Homeschool is amazing. I agree. You say your daughter homeschool. I'm assuming you mean like homeschool. I know it cuts you guys off sometimes in the comments. So yeah, for sure. I definitely just wanted to share that little bit with you guys. Like, these lives are helping me teach my kids about inverse relationships, which is, I guess, technically a high school math concept or something like you might learn in accounting or economics, but whatever, my fifth grader now knows about it. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, you said you were homeschooling your daughter and she's now a senior in college. Okay, got you. That's excellent. Thank you for being here. I love when we have a range of people in here. Y'all, please feel free. This is a collaborative chat. This is not a one-sided thing. So if you are a homeschool family and you would like to contribute when you see a question pop up, please do at the person. So that we can learn from each other. That's the purpose of doing these, is, try to, create some community where we are chatting with each other and learning from each other. Okay, so I do see a question here in the QA. You said, reading series for a 9-year-old who hates reading. Ooh, Tracy. So if they hate reading, I wouldn't push it. I really wouldn't, because you can still make sure that they are able to read and can comprehend without forcing that sit down and read for 30 minutes type of thing. Um, I would say though, what worked for me in getting my middle child to want to read more was I remember I somehow ended up with 3 copies of Charlotte's Web, probably because I wasn't paying attention at the thrift stores and I just kept buying it. And me and my older 2 daughters, we read um, Charlotte's Web popcorn style. We kind of made it a game. So we all had our copy of the book. We were sitting in the living room, very casual, snacks, and we would read, and you would stop somewhere in the middle of the sentence, and the next person was supposed to pick up where you left off, or kind of lose points or whatever for not paying attention. So there were no points or punishments. It was just a fun thing to just say popcorn, and then you pick the person. So, making it kind of a game was fun, but I would really discourage forcing reading if your kid hates reading. Um, but that being said, I would encourage you to just go to the library every week and just let them roam, because you never know. They might stumble across something that they like. They might, pick up a graphic novel that doesn't have a whole lot of words in it, but they get into it on their own. I try my best to model the behaviors that I want my kids to have. So, like, if I want them to read, I read. I'm also part of a book club too. So I'm just a reader in general. So that may not be helpful to you at all. But turn on the closed captioning on the shows that he watches. And just you can have conversations to ensure that your kid is comprehending things, but I wouldn't force it. I would strongly recommend against the sit down and read for 20 minutes, because all they're going to do is stare at the pages and wait for the timer to ding and be done. But I do also really think like 9 is still kind of young. It's okay that they don't love it at 9. They might love it at 13. So I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't want you to feel like there's a problem if they're not loving it at 9. Okay, so let me scroll back through. Hey, y'all. Good morning. Um, hey, y'all. Okay, so I see a question that says tips for ASD kids and certain curriculum works for them. So, Andrea, I would encourage you to check out the Rolodex that's in my profile. It's the second tab in my link tree. There are families on that list who have kids with ASD, and they do share some information and videos here on TikTok. And if you wanted to reach out to them directly to say, hey, what are you using? Your kid seems like they're very much like my kid. I also do have resources in my profile as well. The first tab is a resources list that talks about just different things that you can use that have been recommended throughout these lives. And some of those things on that list might work for you and your kid. But it's so hard to recommend something like specific because there are so many things out there. And just from me having 3 kids, I know what works for the oldest doesn't work for the middle, and the third wants nothing to do with. So it's really hard to like recommend something like that. But definitely, if you're just wanting something like specific to ASD children, some of the families in the Rolodex do have children that have ASD, and I would reach out to them directly. Miss Lynette, hey, you said you were homeschooled, and now you want mine. Now I want mine to be homeschooled. Is a degree required? It is not. In no states is a degree required. However, there are some states where you have to have evaluations completed by a teacher, like a certified teacher, like Florida is one of those states, but it doesn't mean that you yourself have to have a degree. So I would just double check with your state law. But again, most don't require, in fact, I don't think any state requires a degree. They just require varying amounts of paperwork depending on which state that you're in. Andrew, you said, okay, he's very advanced in math. Oh, then I would focus on math. I really would. If he is loving math, or if that's his interest and his jam, I would buy him some math books, like the Big Fat Notebook series that's by Workman Publishing. Has a series called Everything You Need to Know to Ace Middle School Math. Buy him that book, which would require some reading because you have to read some of the concepts in math, you have to read the pages in there to understand the concepts of math that they're describing. So I I wouldn't force reading. I really wouldn't, especially if he's just not interested in like fiction or anything like that. Because some kids just aren't. Some people just aren't interested in reading. That doesn't mean they can't read. It just means they don't want to sit there and do it. I know, like my mother is one of them, like brilliant woman. But if I asked her to read a book with me, she'd be like, I would rather not. Okay, Miss Lynette, you said the school was saying I need a bachelor's degree. Oh, no, no. If you want to drop your state in the chat, if you feel comfortable, you can, and I can just look it up and confirm for you, but you do not. Yeah, I don't know. And y'all also, Miss Lynette brings up a great point. A lot of people are gonna just tell you stuff. Just trust but verify. That's my advice to you. It's like never take any one person's word as gospel on anything. No one person or website should be your single source of information on anything. And you really just want to make sure that if you, especially when it comes to a law or a requirement, that you go to the source, like the actual law, and read the verbiage of it so that you can find out exactly what it says. That way, you're not just getting a paraphrase version of the law, you're getting the version, like the law. And like me, I don't know if anyone in here has seen one of the videos I made. I printed out the Georgia law from the code itself with all the subsections and laminated it so that I knew what I was getting myself into. And I would recommend that for anybody, just so that you know what you have to do. Okay. Hey, okay, Massachusetts with question marks. And then you said I just joined. What is the discussion? We're just chatting about homeschool. Any questions about homeschool? Solar system, or you just wanting to know what the law is for Massachusetts? If so, this hslda.org website is a good one to go to just to get you started. But then I recommend that you go to the Department of Education website for Massachusetts. Whoa, what, Miss Lynette? Okay, first of all, you said you're in Texas, so Texas has no rules, so you're gold there. They don't have any rules or paperwork. You were checking out the early childhood development. When you did your research, it was saying pay $120 and you can homeschool. False, false. That's a big red flag. No, ma'am. Miss Lynette, we must investigate this. What told you? I need to know now because I'm nosy a little bit, but who is telling you you have to pay $120 to homeschool? What? Good morning, Jennifer. I need to know. Oh, yes, Miss Lynette. I'm so glad you're here. Please don't pay anybody. No, ma'am. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me calm down. I don't want to. I feel like I'm like gonna adopt you as a friend right now. So please forgive my casualness. I'm like, all professionalism has gone out the window with that last bit because I'm just like, huh? No. Okay. Let me calm down, Miss Lynette. First of all, you live in Texas, which is one of the most represented states on my Rolodex. So if you wanted to reach out to people like directly in Texas, some of the homeschoolers on here, you can. Just so that like if you want to chat with someone like directly in your state. But my mother lives in your state. So I have also semi-adopted Texas as my state. I also went to school in Texas. So I feel like a Texan by proxy. All right. In Texas, number one, you have no paperwork requirements. You have no degree requirements. You don't have to pay anyone anything to homeschool in Texas. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Texas is representing. Thank you, Jay Bowman. Thank you, Emmy, for being here. Seriously, no one, you do not have to pay to homeschool. That's across any state, period. Now, if you want to invest in resources, that is your prerogative. But you do not, and this is for any state, y'all. There is paperwork that you have to fill out in some states. Texas is not one of them. So like for Georgia, I have paperwork to fill out, but there's no payment. There's no fee for any state. Okay, so if anyone is trying to tell you you have to pay, they are scamming you. And that's why I was saying at the beginning, like, watch out for these homeschool hustlers, y'all, because I have noticed as homeschool becomes more popular, there's more people wanting to cash in on what you don't know. Just like when you're a newborn mom and people tell you that you got to, do all this stuff and pay all this You don't. Okay. So I don't want you to feel, I don't want you to be scammed, number one, but you don't have to pay to homeschool. It's not like vehicle registration where you have to pay a fee every year. You do not. Again, some states have paperwork, but you don't have to pay to fill it out. You have to just make sure that you're filling it out and submitting it to the proper um, office or email or whatever. Whew, that got me hot. Okay, second thing, Miss Lynette, and if you want to pay for coaching or if you want to pay for someone to, kind of hold your hand through the process, that's different. If you want to pay for tutoring, that's different. If you want to pay for an all-in-one curriculum, that's different. Not my thing, but you could. But really seriously, like you don't have to pay to homeschool. That's the main thing. And I do these lives Monday through Thursday, y'all, from 8 to 8:30 to 10 a.m. Eastern for this exact purpose. And if you can't make it during that time, if you can't stay the whole time, I do record it for the podcast. So that's why I have it linked up here. That's the name of it, Homeschool Help Desk Live. And I have started to record it for YouTube as well, so you can catch it later. But whew, that just upset me that someone is out there saying that and basically scamming people. I hope so many people don't read that and believe it, but I'm grateful that you were here to ask about it. So ask any questions that you have, Miss Lynette. There are other homeschoolers in here besides me, but I just really want to hammer that home. You do not have to pay to homeschool. Okay, let me scroll back up because I saw someone said Georgia. Oh, that's OG Clean. You said you're in Georgia. You just want to homeschool my son. Couldn't sign him up because of COVID at the time. Oh, yeah, okay. See, this is the one I can speak to. Georgia, one form, one website, actually. It's not even a form that you have to print unless you want to print it. So OG Clean, all you have to do right now, you can do it right this second while we're on. Go to the Georgia Department of Education's website, which is www.gadoe.org, and you will type in homeschool in the search, which is at the top right. I have memorized this website, I feel. And all you're going to have to do is submit the declaration of intent. You're going to scroll down a little bit. And I have a video about this on my main page too. So if you'd rather see, I showed the website in the video so you can see exactly where you have to go. And that's it. Once you've signed him up and put in your information, like your address and what county you're in and all that stuff, submit that form. You're homeschooled. I recommend that you print it because you can then use that form at stores like Target to get discounts on things, and Michael's, Barnes and Noble. But that's all it takes for Georgia for you to sign him up. Now, from there, you're going to want to then start to decide what resources you want to use to teach the 5 subjects that Georgia requires, which is reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. But again, so many things are available for you to meet those requirements. It does not have to be an all-in-one bundle. In fact, I'm kind of against all-in-one bundles a little bit because I feel like an all-in-one bundle is like an all-you-can-eat restaurant. Like, it's okay, you won't starve, but if you want soul food, you're not going to go to a sushi spot to get it. And if a sushi spot tells you they can do soul food, you're going to look at them a little sideways, right? So like, you kind of want to, in my opinion, I think the best bet is to break it down by subject. So get your math from one place that you really like, get your science from a place that you really like, or multiple places that you really like. I'm not a fan of the all-in-one personally. But again, if you're new and you're just like, I don't have the time, or especially if you're like working from home or working in homeschooling, you just like, I don't have the time to do all this research, I would rather just pay, go ahead and do that. It's totally fine. There's no judgment. But those are my thoughts on that. But Georgia's super easy. And, oh, you paying full for everything. Well, yeah, you can continue if you want to. But just so you know, there's also discounts available. You said, what about Pennsylvania in terms of the laws or how to get started? Because that part, let's look it up. I don't want to spend too much time because I don't want to miss too many questions, but let's just go to Pennsylvania because I don't think I've been to their website yet. Pennsylvania Department of Education, and see what they say. For some reason, I want to make sure, give me 1 second. I think I do have someone on the Rolodex from Pennsylvania. Give me 1 second to look that up too. If so, then I will refer you to, I always think it's cool to chat with someone in your state, because then it's like you're getting it from the source, from someone who's been doing it for a little bit. Pennsylvania. Yes, there is someone on here from Pennsylvania. Excellent. Her username on here is This Simple Balance Blog. So if you would like to reach out to her, she is on the Rolodex. She has already agreed with, you guys reaching out. Oh no, Miss Lynette, I'm so not upset. I'm just passionate about people not being ripped off. I hope I didn't scare you. I'm not upset. I'm just like, I don't like people being ripped off. That's like, it's like people bullying you because you just don't know what you didn't know. And I'm not upset at you at all. I'm so glad that you're here. So I hope my passionate outburst did not frighten you off. I hope you're still here. But just when you said that, I was like, what? Someone is out here lying. And then I just made a video too, a couple videos ago, about like people like, stop lying about homeschooling. It's just so frustrating. So I'm not upset, I promise you. Okay, so getting back to Pennsylvania Department of Education. And y'all, if I've missed your comment, please do drop it in the QA. That way I can go back to it easier, because sometimes the chat just keeps going and I miss people's comments. Okay, so Pennsylvania Department of Education, I'm going to the search and I'm typing homeschool, because that's what I do on every Department of Education's website. That's where I start for everybody. Okay, so then they have a page here for homeschool education. That was not helpful because they're just giving statistics about it. Okay, not helpful. So we're going to go back and see. Elementary homeschool sample affidavit, homeschool diploma. What's that about? Oh, they have it on their website where you can just print it. How thoughtful of them. So you can just print it and type in your kid's name from the Pennsylvania website. Well, that's good to know. Begin with the end in mind. That's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people. Good book, by the way, if y'all want to read that one. Okay, I'm clicking on some other links on here. Home education program. They don't make this easy, do they? You would think they would just put it all on one website or one page. Okay, so that wasn't helpful. Am I missing something? Okay, let's click on this one. Home education programs. Okay, this one's better. This one talks about the law. It refers you to the law. Okay, so homeschooling is a right as long as the required documentation is submitted in the notarized affidavit. The school district's approval is not required. Okay, so they sound so far like Georgia. But we don't have to notarize in Georgia, so that is a difference. And then they talk about transcripts. You do need to keep up with transcripts and standardized testing. Standardized testing must be done in grades 3, 5, and 8 without exception. Okay, so the website that you're going to want to go to, just so you can read through all this, because there's a lot. Instead of typing homeschool, type in home education programs on the Department of Education website for Pennsylvania, and then just read through. And I recommend this for all states, y'all, so that you are truly familiar with everything. Oh, look, Mama Cool 555. I just joined you from Pennsylvania. Okay, so there were, I think, 2 people asking about Pennsylvania specifically. Mama Cool, first of all, thank you for being here. And y'all, I think there were 2 people I saw from Pennsylvania. Please do reach out and type your question to Mama Cool 555. She's been homeschooling for 8 years and has all the details. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is so why I love these lives so darn much. Because, okay, it was Alpha Mistress Mama Tig. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. You and mama, cool. Link up. So, because that's what I would love for you guys to do is like get together with us, like someone in your state, because that they're going to give you like the real deal. Just like I did with OG Clean from Georgia. I'm like, boom, this is exactly what you got to do. Pennsylvania seems similar, but you do have like a couple extra steps, like with the notarization. That's not something we have to do here. So I would have told you wrong if I just told you to fill out a document. You got to get it notarized according to their website. You homeschool my daughter who had an IEP when she was in school. Oh, hey, ADHD homeschooling mama. Cool. Yeah, y'all, ADHD homeschooling mama is also on the list. So y'all make sure you reach out and follow her too. She's from New Jersey. Okay. Forex Mom says we do 7 subjects, $25 a month per kid with powerhomeschool.org. You love it. Okay. Cool. You said gotta run. Glad this came on my FYP so you can learn more about homeschooling. Oh, me too. Good morning, y'all. Okay, so let me catch my breath for just a second because I was just like, that made me upset that someone is charging and saying that about homeschooling. But anywho, you said, so glad I found your live. I've been thinking about doing this year from South Carolina. Oh, cool. Well, welcome, Latasha. Seriously, ask any questions that you have that you've been thinking about. There's no silliness. Now, I might get passionate. There's no silly questions. I might get passionate about something, which, like I said, I just did. Hopefully didn't scare anybody off, but I just couldn't believe someone was saying you have to homeschool for $120. Like, it's so crazy. Okay, what website do you recommend for math worksheets? Oh, I like education.com is a pretty decent one. There's some free, well, it also depends on the grade too that we're talking about. I think you can get like 10 or so worksheets a month from education.com for free. I did go ahead and pay for the membership a few years back, so I'm just part of the membership of it now. I also like Teachers Pay Teachers because there's often some freebies on there for math worksheets. You can also get free math worksheets on Canva. I learned that this week. Some free, some paid. Let's see. There's also websites where you can make your own math worksheets. So you could look into that too. Or you could even go on, like, because I'm all about doing things in a cost-effective way. You can even go on to a website and like get an idea of what a worksheet looks like and then make it yourself. Like, you could make this. This one happens to come from education.com, but you could make this on like a, just a Word document. So lots of different ones. I do have some links in my profile under the resources list that just talk about just different math resources in general. And then there's also ones on there that offer different freebies, especially for like the K through 5 age range. When it comes to like high school math worksheets, personally, I'm not there yet. But I think so many more things switch to digital when you get to high school too. So I don't know about high school. I have heard of Reading Eggs. Reading Eggs is one on the list that a lot of people love. You said, what do you think of K-12 Kava? Hold on. Is that the same one as K-12 like Stride? I have to see the logo. Oh, this is specifically for California. Okay, got it. Okay, so this looks similar. Yeah, it's the Stride. Yeah, powered by K-12 Stride. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan because I don't think it offers you the freedom that you might want when it comes to branching out. Like if your kid has a specific interest that you would want to be able to dive deeper into that, I don't think that K-12 provides that. Plus, if I'm not mistaken, it's still part of the public school system. So it's not even considered homeschooling truly in some states. It's just considered like distance learning. So it's not a terrible option. I'm sure they're going to cover all the basics. But if you're looking for the opportunities to like branch out and follow your kid's interests, I don't see that as being one of those programs that would facilitate that very easily. But you just be prepared to supplement if you're using it. So I'm never going to say something's bad. Nothing's bad unless it's not working for your kids. But that's my thought on K-12. Okay, hang on one second here. Because I feel like, yeah, I had a not great experience with K-12 personally. Just people were recommending it to me when I first started homeschooling, and they were like, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing. You should just do K-12." And I was like, "Forget a K-12. I'm gonna make this work myself." So, but again, it just depends on if it's working for your kids. So that's, I never am going to tell you something's bad. It's just, it might not be what I'm using, which that's fine. But I do know in some states, K-12 is just, it's considered still part of public school. You're just doing it the distance learning option. Any resources for foreign language? Yes. So my library offers a free access to a site called Mango. But we in our house, I've been using Duolingo, also Little Pim for like little kids. It's a fun little series that teaches foreign language, um, like common phrases through like it's a little panda character, and you just say the panda character will say it, and then your child's supposed to repeat. Flashcards, I like. For a while, Chick-fil-A was giving away um, those little games. It was like a memory game of foreign language flashcards. So I would also say it depends on your grade. Like, what age are we talking, Alexandra? Because for an older kid, I would probably say you could even look into things like, um, gosh, just went blank. Not Rosetta Stone. There's another one. It's like a full blown course. Oh shoot, I just forgot it. Just slipped my mind. Give me a second. It'll come back to me. Justin Nicole, you said, is there, oh, Justin and Nicole, sorry. You said, is there a free program to use for middle school? Yeah, you could use Khan Academy to pretty much cover all the main subjects of middle school. That's one right off the top of my head. But I still would suggest that you recommend it. Hey, good morning. Yes, if you need help, ask. Feel free. Could you describe the impact on social emotional learning in home versus K-12? So that question, Flowers Babe, I feel like it's so going to depend on your child's personality. I don't think that you can't paint that one with a broad brush. Um, because just because you homeschool doesn't mean you stay home. I do want to emphasize that. And I happen to live in a state, Georgia, where we can still participate in school activities like your kid can still be in band, your kid can still be in sports and clubs. So I would say it's not a homeschool issue if your kid isn't getting out, it's a family thing. Like if your family doesn't go out or take the child out, that's not homeschooling's fault, So it's a tough question. I feel like that's one that, someone who gets a grant and is working on a PhD program would answer that. But I will say for my family, there's been, I think, more opportunities to socialize with a wider range of people than they would have otherwise met having to go to the same building Monday through Friday, 7, 8 hours a day. Whereas, we've been able to pick up and travel at the drop of a dime to go off to different places. Like we've been able to spend the month in the Caribbean. We go visit family in other states and stay, through the week. So while my kids' cousins are in school, we're still hanging out and just exploring the state. And then when their cousins get home, they get to learn, like, what did you do in school today? Or, so we wouldn't have been able to do that if we were tied down to the public school schedule. And then my parents live in Texas, so being able to travel more freely than we otherwise would is one huge impact that's been on my family. But that's not going to be everybody's experience. So, but just overall, I would say if you are not looking at homeschool as a way, if you're looking at homeschool like it's your full-time job, which is kind of like what I do, then you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that your kid is having a well-rounded experience. But not everybody's going to look at it that way. So it's hard to speak in generalities like that. Oh, good question. Do you feel time for learning is better than IXL? Hmm. IXL definitely offers more free stuff. So right off the bat, I kind of give it the edge to Time for Learning, but Time for Learning is on my list for high school because a very good friend of mine used Time for Learning all the way through for her kids, for her two kids for high school. So I'm like, mm. I would say if you're choosing between which to invest in, I would probably say IXL is better for younger grades and Time for Learning is better for older grades like high school. So I'm kind of split, honestly. Because I do notice that with IXL, there's no like science and social studies after eighth grade, for example. So Time for Learning would be better for that. Um, with IXL, they have like ABC Ya, education.com, vocabulary.com, Rosetta Stone, they're all under that umbrella. So there's a lot more under IXL for younger kids though. So but Time for Learning, I would say for like older high school, that'd be more where I would lean. Good question on that though. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. If I've missed you, because the chat just snapped back down to the bottom. If I've missed your question or comment, please type it in the QA so I can go back and grab it. I promise I'm not trying to miss anybody's question. I'm scrolling back up. Good morning, Kay. You said, oh, you need help with high school transcripts. Okay, so Abby, the deal with high school transcripts is for most states, you have the power to create it. So you could literally create it yourself. There are free templates available online. I have made a high school transcript that I do sell in my Etsy shop. It's one that it's in a spreadsheet format, and you could, it also calculates the GPA for you as well. There are others available, but I'm just going to be fully honest and transparent with you. Like you can do it yourself. If you just want to spend some time researching and looking at different examples of transcripts, you could come up with a format that you like. But if you're just like, nah, I don't want to do all that, you could definitely pay for one, including mine, which, like I said, I sell it on Etsy. And I just started selling it on Teachers Pay Teachers, but I didn't realize how much of a commission they take. So I'm like, I might drop Teachers Pay Teachers. Like they take a huge chunk. Oh my gosh. Okay, you said you have a toddler, X is wanting to homeschool, you're considering number of hours. Okay, got you. Yeah, no worries, Flower. I would say this. If you are determined to succeed, you will. If you are looking to evade something or hide from something, you can do that too. I will say I'm not a fan though of just looking at it from one broad perspective, because I'm an introvert. So my family probably socializes a lot less than a family who is an extrovert, whose mother is an extrovert. I'm not always looking for opportunities to go out, but I will say each of my kids has their own unique activity, and we do travel and we like to make friends the old-fashioned way, and we're not isolated, but we're also not the most social family that you'll ever find. So it's it's going to depend. You said your son is autistic and you want to homeschool. Nobody is helping with step what? I think you got cut off, Miss Leon. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Where's Miss Leon at? Hopefully she didn't leave. Oh, he's 3 going on 4. He gets sick often in school. Okay. Oh, yeah, that happens to my nephew a lot, who's also 3. Okay, and then I think that was the last comment. If I missed part of what you were saying, Miss Leon, please do let me know. Or type it in the QA so I can grab it right there. Like this one, 8th grade promotion certificates. I don't know what that is. What does that mean? Is that like a kindergarten graduation thing where you just acknowledge that they're being promoted to the next grade? Because you could probably make that or find it on Etsy. Have you heard of Homeschool Pro? Probably, because it sounds familiar, but I have to look at the logo. Give me a second to type it in. Is this the one with the planner? Hold on a second. Homeschool Pro. Okay, so there's a couple that came up. Are you talking about the one that's an all-in-one online curriculum or the one that's a planner? because it looks like more than one. I want to make sure I'm getting your question, PR Shorty. I'm so glad to see you here. I was just thinking about you yesterday. I'm so like, I haven't seen her. I hope everything's going okay. But just correct me, PR Shorty, on which one we're talking about, the monthly curriculum or the planner. The foreign language app that I use, there's two that I mentioned. One is called Mango and the other is called Duolingo. Oh, it was recommended to you and you're trying to look for other options. Okay, well, let's just look at it. Oh, see, I love when people have lifetime memberships because then you can just pay once. I don't like the monthly thing. I don't see a free trial though. That gives me pause. You know, the thing about this type of thing is like when you're looking for a curriculum, it's like your kid is going to be the best judge of if it's good. I can tell you all day, I think it's great. But then your kid tries it and they're like, Mom, this is horrible. I hate this. I don't want to do it. And you've wasted your money. So I would look through this one with your child. I wish they had a free trial that you could, or some samples of it so that you could test it out. I'm not seeing that on here, which gives me pause immediately. Like, why do you want my money up front? You're not even going to give me a little taste. So yeah, I don't know. This one looks like every other one to me, like every other all-in-one. Okay, so I see two questions that are kind of the same. Nisi Bird, you said you're from Georgia. How do I start? For you, I'm in Georgia also, so I did make a 9-part video series that's on my profile that talks about how to get started. It's specific to Georgia, and I show you the website and everything, so I would refer you there just so that you can see that one. Also, I did write this book. It's a Homeschool Help Desk Guide just about how to get started. But I want to go back and grab Miss Leon's question because you were talking about your son has autism. You don't know where to start. You're from New York City. So I have had the pleasure of looking up New York City's homeschool website, which is actually really one of the better ones. If I'm not mistaken, Miss Leon, you said your son is 4. So for New York City, you actually don't have any paperwork or anything to do right at this moment for New York City. What I would encourage you to do is to go to the NYC Department of Education website, because again, it's one of the better ones, and spend a little time just reading through the homeschool stuff. So when you get to the NYC website, there's a search bar right across the top. You just type in homeschool and it's going to take you to their homeschooling page and just read through that page. They even have videos on there. That's why I said it's one of the better ones. They talk about, where to send the letter of intent when it's time. For you, it's not time because your son is still quite young. And then you can also find out about resources available. Like, I'm sure you're already working with his doctor with autism, but there's also resources available for through the school system, I believe, if you wanted to take advantage of those as well. So again, their website's pretty good. It's one of the better ones. Not everybody's website is this clear cut, but New York City is one where it is. And that's where I would encourage you to start, just so that you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth and not an abbreviated version, from somebody on the internet or just a blog or just Googling. That will be the first step. Now, if you're wanting to talk to other moms that are specifically also homeschooling their children who also have autism, I do have in my resources, in my link in my profile, there's a Rolodex that has other parents on there who, in their description, it'll say if they are homeschooling with autism, and you can reach out to them directly and they are more than willing to answer questions about it. Because everyone that's on that list, I asked them, like, are you okay with answering questions? And they said yes. So but that's where I would refer you, since you're like, you don't know where to start. That website, that NYC Department of Education website, that homeschooling page is one of the better ones. Okay. And then please keep asking questions in here too. Like, keep coming back to the live, keep asking questions. If it didn't make sense, ask again. Like, that's what I do these for. Do you have Georgia resources for the blind? No, I don't. I don't have any resources for the blind. That's a good, let me, wait. Hold on. Aha, there it is. Oh, wait a second. This is not just one website. This is a list. Yeah, I don't think I have anything on my page that talks about resources for the blind on my resources list. No. It's a good question, though. I'm going to have to look into adding some. But yeah, the resources list, y'all, is an evolving list. It continues to grow. Okay, best tool to help with math. She's 9 and struggles. So Beehive, I would recommend games. If your 9-year-old is like my 10-year-old, worksheets, nope. Workbooks, hate it. But games, she likes. So in my Amazon storefront, I shared the 2 bingo games that I have for my oldest, or excuse me, for my middle child. And that turned things around because we were trying to work on, multiplication, division, adding and subtraction, adding in games, adding in manipulatives and flashcards. There's also like a fractions dominoes game you can get to teach fractions. In fact, I'll just show it. Give me a second. I'm going to grab them. Hold on so that you can see what I'm talking about. Also, another thing that I haven't talked much about it, but I do recommend this. Hold on. One more second. You said 9, so that's like 4th grade. I'm going to get this one. Okay, couple things to show. And again, all of this is going to be in my Amazon storefront. So as I'm holding it up, you can feel free to either get a screenshot, get it from Amazon, or go to the Amazon storefront in my link to get it. So this one's Math Bingo for addition and subtraction. And just playing the game, the skills are going to get worked on. And this one is specific for multiplication and division. You could make this too. If you're a crafty person and you want to make these, you can make it. But I just bought it. They were less than $10. Also, the game Fractions Dominoes. These are actually about this. They're big cards. They're like the size of flashcards. But the idea is that you would, stack them up like dominoes if they match. These don't match, by the way. So you wouldn't be able to stack them up like that. But just playing games it turned my daughter's math, her view of math, turned it around. Also, making sure that you make math make sense, because that was another thing. Like with my oldest, I could just tell her, sit down, do this workbook. She would do it and be done. With my middle child, it's like you have to explain why it matters. And so for her, being able to show real life, like why should she care about fractions? Well, because cooking, or because you might not always have things evenly distributed. So you might have to break it into pieces. Or with decimals, why should you care about decimals? Well, because money and compound interest and percentages. Also, I wanted to show you these Brain Quest decks have math questions in them too. So these are great for like the car. Maybe your kid doesn't want to do a full-blown worksheet, but they have questions in here like estimate 24 plus 19 by rounding each number to the nearest 10. And you can just do this like in the car, like trivia with each other, and they're still going to get it. And then just also keep in mind, 9 is still pretty young. They may not love it at 9 or appreciate it at 9, but by 12, it'll click. So I think all of those are good ideas, just to get away from the workbook, the work page, because that usually is just like a brain drain. So I hope some of those ideas help. Okay, let's see. How would you start in Michigan? Also, how do you get kids to stay focused? Okay, so I'm going to put up this question and say, same thought for you that I was talking about. If you were in here for the New York answer, same for Michigan. Like I would go to the Michigan Department of Education website and look around on that one. I do have a video series that talks about how to get started with homeschooling. That's on my profile. That it's, just a playlist that kind of explains the process. But I want to focus on your second question, which was how do you get kids to stay focused? So this is going to depend on the age of your kid, because younger kids, I think, just in general have less focus. So you can start off by making it a challenge, like set a timer for 10 minutes. We are going to do this activity, whatever the activity is. And then at the end of 10 minutes, give them praise. Thank you so much for your attention. Go have fun, do what you want to do. And then just incrementally work your way up. But I would say it depends on what age you're starting from. Like if you're talking about trying to get a 3-year-old to focus on a workbook, I think you would have better luck drinking the ocean through a straw. That's just not the age where they're going to sit down and focus. You just want to do it incrementally over time. You said you have 8, 7, 3, and then twin babies. Oh my honey. Bless your heart. Okay. 5 kids, and we're wanting to get them to sit down and focus. Honey, I just want you to take care of you. We got time. You have very young kids. And for you, especially because you are still in baby mode, which to me is like survival mode, I would just try to just do it the incremental way. Like I just said, like 10 minutes of something, and then give yourself a break, give them a break. Because your kids are still very, very young, in my opinion. Like I have kids your same age range. I have a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old. And even for us, it's like 30 minutes, 40 minutes max of doing one thing at a time. And then everybody needs the break, including myself. So I would say don't compare yourself to public school. It is okay if your 8-year-old doesn't sit for an hour and do something. And then remember, you still got babies, twin babies. So it's okay to like invite Alexa in, invite Siri in, invite YouTube University and Google Tech in to help take some of that pressure off of you. You don't have to do it all. And it's totally okay if they're not sitting still doing it or 100% focus on it. Like that's where the consistency and repetition comes in, where you can definitely like do things more than once. Like I had to spend about 10 weeks trying to get multiplication to matter to my middle child because she just didn't care about it. And it wasn't about lack of focus. It was more like lack of interest. So that could be another thing where kids will focus on what they like. Like, have you ever seen a kid struggle to focus on Roblox or Minecraft? So it could just be like time to change up the resource that you're using because what you're providing just might not be interesting. And that's not a dig. That's from experience. I've had to change things so many times because, they love it one minute and then they're like over it the next. So, but seriously, you got twin babies. I would say just take care of you right now because that's a lot. That's a lot. I feel like I just turned into an old Southern woman when I said that. Oh, bless your heart. Would you still have to deal with public school? No. If you're homeschooling in Georgia, you don't have to deal with them at all. You can, if you want to, from 6th to 12th grade in Georgia, we do have a law that allows you to enroll your child in school activities if you want to, if your kid wants to. But no, you wouldn't have to be part of the public school system at all because there's no reason. I don't have to turn anything into the public school. There doesn't have to be any overlap if you don't want there to be. What's the best app or website for elementary reading? Ooh, I like Duo ABC. A lot of people like Reading Eggs. ABC has some fun games. There's more. I know there's more. I do have a resources link in my profile if you want to check that out to look at some other ones that have been recommended through these lives. I try to keep tabs on good things that people recommend. Okay. What games would you recommend again for a 3-year-old? Also, which ones would you recommend buying? Oh, good question. We like to play a game called Sight Word Circle here, but you said 3. Sorry, I'm thinking 5. 3. I just gave a bunch of stuff to my 3-year-old nephew, and he was just here. Why can't I think? Oh my gosh. Okay, in my Amazon storefront, there's these puzzles that you can put together that focus on opposites, math, and spelling. I like those puzzles. I do recommend buying those. Let's see. Also, we did a lot with colors and shapes while he was here. So if you happen to see any manipulatives that are just bright and colorful and have different shapes, I recommend those. If you wanted to get some like letters that they can play with, I saw someone posted that they had some at Target this week, like in the dollar spot. That could be good. I like Twister too for 3-year-olds, like, just encouraging them to jump to a color, not necessarily doing like right hand this, left hand that, unless you want to. Hide and seek is also fantastic for teaching counting and then skip counting. So yeah, I'm trying to think, what else did we do? I feel like we just ran around in circles a lot too while he was here. Okay, good workbooks for middle and high school. So for middle school workbooks, I like Evan Moore workbooks. And that's like writing and the daily workbooks. That's more middle school. I like Argo Prep workbooks for middle school. High school, I'm not in high school yet, so I'm not teaching high school yet, so I don't have any workbook recommendations for high school because I'm not quite there yet. However, I do like the Big Fat Notebook series. It's not technically workbooks, but they are good resource books that are geared towards middle and high school. I have them linked in my Amazon storefront. I highly recommend the whole series. I just like the whole series. I think that's good for just in general, just to have it on the shelf, and then you can supplement it with different worksheets and activities if you would like to. So hopefully that helps. I don't know very many high school workbooks though. Can we talk about Roblox? Is there a series about it? I can't talk about Roblox. I'll be honest, I don't know much about it. Like my son tries to teach me, y'all, but I'm just like, there's so many worlds. It's so hard to keep up with. And then I feel like new ones are made every day. My son could tell you everything about Roblox, but I can't. How do you balance kids in multiple grades? Oh, good question. I stagger their start time. That's one. I don't start them all at the same time. I know a lot of families do like unit studies and doing things all together. I don't. So I stagger their start time. So we're not all of my kids are doing schoolwork all at the same time, and they're not all doing the same subject at the same time. Encourage independence as early as possible if you can. I like to utilize screen time to help. So like while one kid's doing something digital that doesn't need as much direct supervision, I'll work with another kid that is doing something like in a workbook. So yeah, those are some things that I do to balance multiple kids, because I can't have them all at me at the same time. I need to like divide and conquer. Oh, a series about setting it up safely. Oh, okay. I misunderstood what you meant about Roblox. I feel like there is on YouTube, there are videos that talk about parental controls and how you can set those up on Roblox. So I would Google Roblox, not Google, on YouTube, Roblox and parental controls. I haven't made a series about it though. You said, is curriculum required for kindergarten in Illinois? I feel like Illinois is one of those states that doesn't require much. I don't think. Is Illinois a state that you have to keep a portfolio? Hold on, give me a second. I'll look it up. I don't think so. I feel like it's not. It's so hard to keep like all the states clear. I think Illinois is very much like Texas though. Okay, yeah. So for Illinois, you do not have like assessments or portfolios. You do have certain subjects that they tell you to teach, just like Georgia, you have to teach like math, science, social studies, that sort of thing. But there's not a portfolio that you have to submit saying what your required what curriculum you're using. So I would say the answer to that question is no, there's not a required one. Yeah, that's right. Kay, you're from Illinois and y'all are super laid back. So thank you. See you, Mission Led Mama. Oh my goodness, I've missed so many things in the chat. Okay, sorry. Endless deals. Hey, welcome. You said you're pulling your son out of school. You're from Georgia. How do you do it? I have on my main page, my profile. I think I called it like Homeschool Start Here. I'm from Georgia, and I put all the details in that video series of how to get started. It's basically for you probably going to be 2 forms. 1 form to withdraw, and then 1 form to register as a homeschooler for whatever chat, because it's still the internet. You're going to go to the district's website to find out their withdrawal procedure and follow it to withdraw him. Super easy. People withdraw all the time. There shouldn't be any frustration about that. And then you'll go to the Department of Education's website to fill out the declaration of intent, and that is what makes you a homeschooler in Georgia. What's up, son?
I want to know what does the DVD do?
Which DVD? The one you brought me yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
I told you it's an audiobook. It's a book. Someone's just reading the book, but they recorded their voice. Get out of here, you ham. No, seriously, go on. Have you eaten breakfast?
Almost.
Okay, go eat. What's up, middle child?
I just wanted to be. What's up, banana? What's wrong?
What are y'all doing today? What is this? Go.
I'm sorry.
Y'all just want to be seen?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. Ham sandwiches. Say hello.
Hello.
Now, please go eat your breakfast. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay. All right. Let me go to the QA because I saw some questions pop up in there. Okay, that's the same question. Endless deals. Got it. And do I file the declaration of intent ASAP? Yes, go ahead and do it because you want to, do the withdrawal first and then the declaration of intent because it has to be done by, I want to say September 1st. But yeah, you can go ahead and do it now. I did mine like last week. And then you can put that you're doing it for the whole year. So like, let's say you went online and did it today, which is the 27th. You could say that your homeschool is going to start from July 27th, 2022 through July 26th, 2023. That's your school year. Just so that you have everything covered. But again, I would withdraw first and then declaration of intent. So you don't want your homeschool, like, just so it's not overlapping. Okay, could you explain a co-op and how to find one? Okay, sure. So a co-op it's on here twice. Okay, there we go. A co-op in a nutshell is just a group of families who decide to get together either for social reasons. Oops, sorry. Okay, so could you explain a co-op and how to find one? I'm recording for the podcast too. A co-op is a group of homeschool families that decide to get together either for academic reasons or social reasons or both. And they just form a group, like forming a club. And it just depends on how the co-op is set up, what they do. So I have only been a part of social co-ops. I've not been a part of co-ops that wanted to do any academic things. And you can find them usually on Facebook. Like most co-ops have a Facebook page or some kind of social media presence because that's how other people find them. So I would start there. If you don't have Facebook, like I didn't have Facebook, you could check with your library because usually that's a hotspot where people meet up or where homeschoolers go. And you could just ask the librarian, hey, have you heard of any co-ops in this area? I'm new to homeschooling. And usually your librarian is like a matchmaker, like a central exchange, if you have a good library in your area. And that's a good way to just find out what's going on. That's how I was invited to a co-op. I just happened to be at the library one day doing some activities with my kids. And this lady was like, hey, we hit it off. And she said, I'm part of this co-op. We meet on this day at this time. You should come. And some co-ops charge fees because they'll do like field trips and plan events and parties and things. Other co-ops, it's just free because you're just meeting and making friends. So that is co-ops in a nutshell. Again, every co-op is a little bit different simply because like I could make a co-op right now and invite whoever I wanted to be a part of it, and then we would make up our own rules. So that's one. It's always going to be a little bit different. All right, and then let me go back through the chat. And I want to make sure I'm not missing too many questions. I appreciate the participation though. You said you don't want to withdraw. They gave your little one an iPad, so you'll have to give it back. Something to consider. I understand that. But at the same time, you could get one at a discount from Apple, if I'm not mistaken, through an educator discount. Okay, recommendations to teach spelling for 3rd grade. Oh, good question. So let me just actually grab the book because I liked how the vocabulary was presented in this book. And it was, it presented new vocabulary, but also had little puzzles and fun facts in it as well. So this is the book that I use for vocabulary. It's by McGraw-Hill. I have it linked in my Amazon storefront. And what I liked about this one was each lesson, because it's not broken down by week. So like this is lesson 7, focusing on homophones, and then you get a list of 10 words. And then you have 3 practices under each lesson. So you have that was lesson 7. So you have 7.1, 7.2, and then 7.3 to practice those same 10 words. So you get different opportunities to practice it. What I really like about this though, is that it has a fun fact up here at the beginning of each one. And you have to, put in the correct answers for the worksheet. And then down at the bottom, you get the answer to whatever this fun fact was. So this one happens to be, how much skin does the average adult have? And it says more than that, but that's the question. And then down here, in order for them to get the correct answer, they have to, put the correct answer over here, and it tells them what letter to fill it in. So it's almost like a logic puzzle and vocabulary blended together. I like this one so much. And the answer, if anyone wants to know, to how much skin does the average adult have is 20 square feet. So really like this workbook. That was what we used. It taught a lot of different vocabulary words. Each lesson, like I said, has 10 vocabulary words, and I believe there's 45 lessons. So that's 450 words in this workbook. So this one I really, really liked. But of course, there are other resources. So definitely do check out the resource list in my profile. There's like vocabulary.com also can give you some ideas of just word lists that you would want to use. But I really like that work because it felt like it was more than just vocab. It was vocabulary, it was logic and critical thinking, and like I said, some fun facts. So, they get to learn different facts along the way, because there was even some history facts in there too. How do you get your son to take your teaching seriously? Oh, good question. Oh my gosh. So, y'all need to see it again. Sorry, hang on. This is the cover. Also, it's linked in my Amazon storefront as well. And they have one for 6th to 8th grade. So I've used it for my older daughter as well. Okay, so this question, how do I get my son to take my teaching seriously? So for me, at the beginning, I really tried to just be a teacher, and I tried to have this separation of now I'm teacher, now I'm mom. And that was a real headache for us because they didn't take me seriously. They were just, I won't say they didn't take me seriously, but it was hard to balance the 2 personas. So what I ended up doing that has helped tremendously was I focused less on I'm the teacher and more on I'm helping you find answers that you need to know in life. And I try my best to always make sure my kids know why it matters. Why should you know math? Why should you know how to write and read? And I try to provide as many real life examples as I can so that they take their education seriously and they're not looking to me to be the teacher and the one that puts the knowledge in. I'm like, no, you should know math so that you don't get scammed out of money, and how to count your money when you get it. Or You should know how to read and write well, because you're going to need to communicate with people, and people are going to need to communicate with you. And it's not always going to be a verbal conversation. Sometimes you're going to have to read someone's message to you. And wouldn't it be nice if it made sense? So that was one way that I really got them to just take their education seriously. So it takes some of the pressure off me to, I don't have to worry about being a good teacher as much as I have to make sure that they understand why it matters, why they should care. And they essentially at this point are kind of teaching themselves, and I'm facilitating it through the resources that I bring into the house. And they are much more self-sufficient. If they want to know something, I encourage them to look it up through the resource that we have, or through the internet or YouTube. And I'm like, hey, let's figure this out. Like, my son yesterday asked how cell phones were made. So I'm not going to teach him like me knowing it first and then teaching it to him. I'm like, I don't know. Let's find out. Even if I do know, I'll say, I don't know. Let's find out, because I'm wanting to teach him how to find answers that he's seeking. And I happen to have resources in the house that talk about how inventions are made. And we, of course, can watch things on YouTube that, to discover how it's made. So that's how I got my kids to take their education more seriously, was like, encourage them to be self-sufficient, explain why it matters, and then just when they do have their questions, like, walk them through it side by side, rather than let me hold your hand and drag you through it. Like, no, like, I want you to lead. Why don't you teach me something too? So that's kind of how I did it. You said homeschool goals include teaching them how to learn, not what to learn. Yes, love that quote. Love that. Thank you, Mama Cool. Okay, I'm scrolling back up through the chat. I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone's question or comment to me, because I know you guys are also chatting to each other too, which I love this live for that. Oh, yes, that's right. There are flashcards for vocabulary from Silverline. I've seen that long deck of cards. Yes, that's so true. You said your introverted self would start a co-op one month and then not want to see anyone the next. That's me. That's me all day. Like the book club that I'm part of, we don't even meet monthly, because I think we're all kind of like that. We're like, we'll meet up one month, but then the next month we're off. We won't see each other. And we just do like a group chat. So yeah. Oh my gosh, so funny. We're so similar, some of us in here. Ari Love, you said, so crazy to homeschool, but in college to be a teacher? LOL. Oh, did you go to college to be a teacher? Is that what you were saying? I hope I'm not misunderstanding you. So you went to college to be a teacher, but you're homeschooling. If I'm wrong, if I got that wrong, just let me know. But actually, you know what's so funny that you say that? I am going to a homeschool conference later this week. The Southeast Homeschool Expo. So if anyone's in Georgia and you want to be able to go and see a bunch of cool resources, I recommend that one. I like that one. But the funny thing is, I met one of my high school teachers at this conference, and I was like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I homeschool my son. And I'm like, you taught me. So many teachers homeschool. It's like, I kind of was shocked, but at the same time validated by seeing someone who taught me at a homeschool conference. So it's like, okay. Yes, there does, Kay. That's so true. There has to be an extrovert in a co-op. Otherwise, co-ops won't happen. 100%. So true. Oh, good question. How do you come up with a name for homeschool? Oh, so in Georgia, you don't actually have to have a name, but you could use like the name of the street that you grew up on and slap Academy after it if you want to. So, or, this would be a cool activity to include your kids in, to just say, we are forming our own school. What do you guys want to call it? So it could be anything though, as long as it makes sense and resonates with your family. The sky's the limit on that one. You guys are funny. You said there's always one extrovert dragging the rest of us. That's so true, y'all. I feel like that's how I have any friends at all, is that an extrovert adopted me and when they see me slipping through the cracks, like back into my little hole, they're like, "Hey, haven't seen you in a while. I want to hang out." And I'm like, "All right." Or they'll like, I have things that are my favorite. Like I have a favorite restaurant or, activities that are my favorite thing. And one of my very good friends, she always knows how to get me out of the house. She's like, "Want to go get some, want to go to your favorite restaurant?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." So it's like they know which buttons to push. They know, like, want to go shopping for books? Yes, of course I do. Want to go thrifting? Yes. There's like certain things that are just always going to get me out of the house. But if they were like, "Want to go to a concert?" No. "Want to go to Atlanta?" No. "Want to try this new restaurant?" Yes. Yes. Food is a love language. You said you have two friends that know how to get you out of the house. Yes. Oh, you have a friend that says, "Get ready, I'm coming over. I'm coming to get you." Right? I do have a friend like that too. Or like sometimes you're just not in the mood to get dressed. Like you just want to stay in your lounge wear. And my friend will say, "Just come on over. You don't have to even get dressed." I'm like, "How does she know?" But I feel like extroverts just know that. Your daughter does that. She's like, "Hey mom, you want sushi?" Right. We all have those little like proper buttons that get pushed and it's like an instant yes. So true. Like if someone gets me a mug, we're besties. Oh my gosh, that's so funny that we're so alike in that way. And Mama Cool 555. I don't know if you want to share your name, but what is your name if you don't mind sharing? Because you have been so extremely helpful today. And I would love it if you'd want to be on the Rolodex too, because I know you said you're from Pennsylvania. If you want to like help people answer questions and I just refer them to your page. Actually, where did you go? I want to follow you. Blink. There you are. Okay. So yeah, so nice to meet you today. I'm so glad you were here. You said one friend will call and start a mundane conversation, then somehow it's like, "I'm outside." Oh no, not the random pop-up. You gotta say something. That's so funny. But I mean, if it's a friend, it doesn't matter. It's fine. But don't pop up on me. That I wouldn't like. Said, "Any tips for someone who works from home and trying to homeschool? It's hard getting a schedule." Oh yes. Shoot. I think I saw someone else in the chat asked about homeschooling full time. Oh my gosh. I hope that person is still here. Okay. So yes, y'all, I did homeschool full time and part time while I was working. So sorry. I got to chatting about friendship and I totally forgot that question. Okay, my bad. So, hidden little gems. Yes. Me personally, I am not great with planners, like paper planners, but I love a good spreadsheet. And so what I've done, this is just my current schedule. But when I was working, I used the same template. You'd start, I mark my day off in half hours. And then I would just, spend some time on Excel or another spreadsheet program, putting your schedule in. Now, I worked a job, well, my full-time job, it had a set schedule. It was outside the home. So I would, also rely on my mom for help. And I would just set a schedule for the kids when they would go to her house. But basically what I recommend is, you make it a visual. If you have set hours, put in your work hours on that schedule so that that's blocked off. That is not going to be homeschool time. And then keep in mind when you are, especially if you're working from home, I don't know if you are, but if you are working from home, keep in mind you don't have to homeschool from 7 to 3 just because those are traditional public school hours. You can, like in my case, I would work in the mornings and then I also worked at night. So our afternoons became homeschool time. That was because my schedule was flexible when I was working from home. But I would encourage you to do something like that where you can make it visual, especially if you know your schedule like a couple of weeks out. And then you would plug in when you want to homeschool around your work schedule. Because obviously work is how the bills get paid. So that has to happen. But also keep in mind, you don't have to homeschool for 7 hours. In fact, I highly discourage you from trying to do that each day. And depending on your kids' learning style, you may only need an hour and a half, 2 hours in a day to actually get things done. You don't have to fill the day with busy work. Even if you live in a state like Georgia, where they recommend that you do 4.5 hours per day for 180 days, spread that out over the course of 365 days, which is the truth about learning and making learning a lifestyle. Now we're down to like, 2 hours a day. So, and keep in mind, it also doesn't have to happen. Homeschooling doesn't have to happen Monday through Friday. Let's say your work schedule is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, traditional corporate hours. You could homeschool on the weekends or in the evenings, or, assign your child a lesson, but then you check it when you're on a break or after work. So there's a lot of different things you could do. It is going to depend on your kid's age and their own motivation, of course. But it's totally possible. But I still, no matter which way you do it, I highly recommend making it a visual, color coded if you're like me. And that way you can see how things are going to lay out for your week. And you can say, okay, I've got this blocked off for work. This is when I have time to homeschool. Oh, hey, January, J for short. Okay, good to meet you. Thank you again so much for being here. So I hope that was helpful, hitting little gems. I don't know, do you work from home? Are you self-employed? Is it a corporate job? Or if you don't even have to say if you don't want to say, I'm just curious, because all those factors are going to contribute to how you arrange your schedule. But I totally understand knowing like that it's hard to do it. And in fact, for me, I felt like my schedule changed seasonally when I was working part-time, because I worked at a job where I could only have access to my schedule 2 weeks out. And so even though I would try to be very consistent with the hours that I was choosing, sometimes I just couldn't get those hours. And so I would have to adapt and change. So you said, yes, you work from home for a bank. Okay. So then you might have a more consistent schedule. I'm assuming you might not. So in that case, I would recommend like you try something like that, where it's like you can color code and block off these are work hours, but this is house cleaning hours. This is, go pick up grocery time, whatever you have to do in a normal week. And then you can more clearly see when you have time to homeschool. And then, like I said, especially if you have like that typical 8 to 5, again, consider evenings, consider weekends, so that you're not having to put so much pressure on yourself to homeschool during the week. Because like I worked for a university, so my schedule was literally like 7 to 5:30, with my kids spending time at my mother's house. So I had to plan activities for them while they were there. But then on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays, we would do more schoolwork. And so during the week, it was like a lighter schedule for them, because I didn't want to do too much for my parents. Okay, so you do have a set schedule. It'll be easier to plan around that. Yeah. So that's what I would do. And then, like I said, if you're like me and you like to color code, go crazy. That's what I did. And then I also, I use the iCal feature as well and set reminders to just keep myself on track. Honey Bear Mom, you said you need a schedule template. You're horrible at making them and you overthink it. That is me. Welcome. You're among friends. And that's what I was saying. Like for me, it would change so frequently. But you just keep at it. You keep trying, and just you keep what works, you toss what doesn't. And just know like the schedule you start with isn't necessarily going to be the schedule you finish with. And then as things, come into your life or, exit your life, you can make those changes as needed, which is why I think for me, paper planners are just not my friend. Because sometimes I am a bit random with the things that we can get done. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't. Okay, yeah, I'm caught up in the QA. If I missed a question of yours or a comment of yours to me, please do type it in the QA. I can go back and grab it a lot easier there, because in the chat, I can only see like 3 comments at a time. And then if I wait too long, like talking, answering a question, it'll snap to the bottom. And sometimes I miss what people have said, especially if you're talking to me directly. But I'm scrolling back up to see if I missed anyone's comment to me. I think I'm caught up. If I'm not caught up, if you wouldn't mind, just please retyping it or putting it in the QA. We have about 5 more minutes before 10. And I am trying to, be better about being on time and ending on time. I'm always on time, but sometimes I don't end on time. I'll just keep talking. It's the Southern woman in me. Oh, the laminator is a godsend. Yes, I do love my laminator. You said you have a $100 gift card for Office Depot to use towards a printer. Anyone recommend one? Ooh, mine is the HP Office Jet 8022. I like it a lot. It's a printer, scanner, copier combination, and I do believe it's less than $100. So you probably would have a little money left over. So again, that was HP Office Jet 8022. But this is a couple years old. They might have a newer model by now, I'm sure. Do you have to have a declaration for a 5-year-old? No. Georgia doesn't start until the age of 6. However, I will tell you, I have been including my son on our declaration of intent since he was like 4. So if you submitted one, they're not going to come back and say it's invalid or wag their finger at you. So if you wanted to submit one just for like maybe discounts at stores, recommend doing that, then you can. But just know that it's not required until you're 6, until your child is 6. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with it if you did it early. You're learning about geos. Oh, we went to TELUS, and is that where they did the cracking of it for you in person? We've done that too at TELUS. Yes, that was so fun. We enjoyed TELUS, the TELUS Science Museum. Yeah, that was so cool that they cracked the geode right there during one of their activities. That was so fun. Yeah, I like the TELUS Museum. We had for a while the museum pass thing that lets you go to different museums in different states, but then COVID happened. So maybe I'll get that again and we'll travel some more to different museums. But yeah, I like the TELUS Museum. That's where the TELUS Museum humbled me so much because they had one exhibit that was about technology from the past. And they had in there like a fax machine and a phone booth that you could use to make calls, and a Game Boy that we still have in our house. I was so upset about that. Okay. Oh yes, y'all, discounts. Yes, 100% you can get discounts. Okay, actually, I was working on a discount list, but it's such a short list. I feel like I'm missing things. I'm going to add that to my link tree today, though, the spreadsheet that I've started for discounts. So yes, you can get discounts for homeschooling. In Georgia specifically, that's where I'm at. Using the declaration of intent letter to homeschool, you can take it to stores like Michael's and they'll put you in as a teacher on your profile and you get a teacher discount like 15 or 20%. Target is doing it currently. You can use that same form to upload it to their website. You get 15% off one purchase, which I'm a little annoyed about that it's just one purchase. But if you get all your school supplies or whatever, like backpacks and stuff, then it's worth it to, take 15% off of a big purchase. Office Max, Office Depot also does discounts. Barnes and Noble does discounts. So yeah, you just take in your proof of homeschooling and those types of stores will, you should have a membership with them, I think, or they'll encourage you to have a membership with them. And then they can just add that to your profile. Keep in mind for Target, you have to renew it every 3 years. Michael's hasn't asked me to renew it yet, but that's pretty much how you do it. You can just take your paperwork in there to whatever stores you go to and just ask, do y'all do homeschool discounts for homeschoolers or teacher discounts? Are homeschoolers included? Doesn't hurt to ask. All righty. What's a declaration? It's what the form is called in Georgia. In other states, it's called a letter of intent. There's other states that call it notice of intent. Other states call it an affidavit to homeschool. In Georgia, it's just called a declaration of intent because I think someone just thought it was a nice word to use. It did make me feel old, Tracy. That's why I said I was humbled. I was like, wait a second, y'all, we still have some of this stuff in our house. Like we still have a house phone. I know a lot of people don't have a house phone anymore. You're trying to get that Canva discount. Anyone have it as a homeschool teacher? Oh, you know what, Marley? I haven't tried. Hold on. And then also, one thing I found out is like in states where there's no paperwork, sometimes you have to reach out to the customer service of that store or that merchant to get them to apply it to your profile. So I have not tried to get a Canva discount. I've just been using all the free features. So I don't know about it, Marley, but I can, let me see. Yeah, my Canva is just, I'm still doing the free version. I don't see it. I'm going to have to look into this after we get off and explore a discount. Oh, there it was. Shoot. Education, teacher and schools. Then what? Okay, let me grab this question from QA. You were told you need barcode IDs to get the discount. Is that true? If so, how and where can I get it? I think that might depend on the store, Honey Bear Mom. Like if they want to see you have like a teacher ID from a public school, that probably means they're not offering it to homeschoolers. If they're going to add that, restriction on there, it probably means they don't want to offer it to homeschool. But I guess it depends on which store too. Like I said, the stores that I mentioned, don't ask for that. If you are needing an ID with a barcode, I don't know where you could get one. Maybe Etsy. Because even if you did the HSLDA teacher ID, I don't think comes with a barcode. I don't think so. It's been a while since I had it though, so maybe they changed it up. Thank you, Mom and Tater. You were able to download a school ID and use that on Michael's. Yes. Yeah. Michael's doesn't have the barcode restriction. Like I literally just took in my declaration of intent form. Okay. You just submitted for the Canva discount, just waiting to hear back. Okay. Yeah. I need to look into this because I've just been on the free version, but I'm going to look into seeing if I can get it to work for me today. And then I'll let you guys know tomorrow if I get verified. I wonder, do they use Sheer ID to verify? Because if so, then I'm already verified. So I'll try that after the live. Okay, I think I'm looking at what they do. Okay, I'm going to read through that after the live. You love these lives. You learn so much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Honey Bear Mom. Honestly, they use Sheer. Okay, then if they use Sheer ID, then I'm already verified. Sheer ID is a company that a lot of other retailers use to verify your status as a student, a teacher, a veteran, military, or police, first responder. And if you are verified in the Sheer ID system and you go to other retailers that use it, then you're verified through all those retailers too. But usually the retailers want you to create a profile through that website. So you can't just be on Sheer ID only. Like there's no profile for Sheer ID, but if you've been registered or verified once through there, like Target uses Sheer ID. So if you've been verified through Target's Sheer ID and another retailer uses Sheer ID too, then you're good to go. So if Canva uses it, then I'm probably fine. I just haven't gone through the steps. But yeah, it's just a service that the retailers use to verify because, people lie, unfortunately. And so that's just like a checks and balance that those retailers use to be able to make sure that the people that are getting the discounts are actually qualified for those discounts. Yes, sir.